PG-13.
And welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We have a lot of films to get to today. We have 7 movies for this October 10th, 2014. So much time and so little to see. Wait, strike that, reverse it. Let's get right to it, everybody. Let's go ahead and jump on into it with our first movie, and that is Dracula Untold, Universal's latest attempt to try to bring the Universal monsters into the modern day, and not really doing a good job at it with this film here. Dracula, played by Luke Evans, is the historical figure Vlad III, the Impaler Dracula, and transforms into his monstrous alter ego to protect his family from Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II. Luke Evans, as I said, plays the title character. You also have Sarah Gadon, Dominic Cooper, and Charles Dance among the cast in this. The biggest problem for the movie right from the get-go is that it's a movie that is literally trying to create the next, cinematic universe. Marvel was doing such big business with the cinematic universe, and so everybody and their grandmother was trying to get a cinematic universe together, and this was before Universal decided on the dark universe legacy that they were going to handle here. But then, of course, The Mummy came out after this, and not surprisingly, didn't pan out that well either. So, yeah, they were trying their hardest to create a cinematic universe with the Universal monsters, and not surprisingly, it failed kind of miserably here. And this movie in particular is really not that great overall. In fact, really, there's not much more you can really add to it, except the fact that it's trying to be the Lord of the Rings of the horror movies, and really kind of failing miserably at it. Not saying that Luke Evans can't be a bad Dracula or a leading actor. He's fine in this, but he really isn't doing anything that makes you say that, wow, this guy has a lot of potential to be, this thing could have a lot of potential to be something incredible. Really, it did not. I mean, this thing kind of was one of those movies where they were beggingly trying to get a cinematic universe together, and not surprisingly, it didn't pan out very well here. And, for a movie that's not even that long, I mean, this movie's only 90 minutes long? So yeah, it's not a long movie at all, but it felt like it dragged on forever and ever and ever. And in the end, it just didn't work as a whole. It was a movie where the potential was kind of there for something, but you could just tell that Universal wasn't really making this because they really believed in it. No, they wanted that cinematic universe money, and yeah, they weren't going to get it with this film, unfortunately. So, not much more to say about that one. Dracula Untold. Let's go ahead and move on to a movie that a lot of people really like, but no, I really did not enjoy this one at all. This is a movie based off of a book I grew up with, Disney's adaptation of Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
I don't think he passed.
This day is so cursed.
You're not passing the blame on this one.
It was her fault.
I don't feel problem for anyone. Stop! I think that you just gotta have the bad days so you can love the good days even more. Trust me, I would know.
We are not going to let this day get the better of us. Are we ready, Coopers?
Let's go, Wreck-It Ralph.
It's very rare that I have to bring this out here, but yeah, this is going to be censored for those of you that don't know. I am lifting a finger that you should not be doing with a movie like this, but I'm sorry. Yeah, this movie definitely deserves that and then some. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. More like Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Movie. Because, yeah, this movie is an insult to the book in general. I mean, but here's the story of this. For 12-year-old Alexander Cooper, every day is a bad day, and his family thinks he's being silly because they've never had a bad day. Yeah, you're going to tell me that none of these people have had a bad day in their lives, but no. On the day before his 12th birthday party, he learns that another boy is having a party of his own, and everyone is going to it. And another kink punks him online. So at midnight on his birthday, he wishes that his whole family could have a bad day. So we're not only taking the Diary of a Wimpy Kid aspect here, we're stealing from Liar Liar. Which, yeah, Liar Liar did this a whole lot better. And what a shocker, as things for the whole family go bad. His mom's car is broken, so they have to share a car. His sister has a cold and has to go on stage. His older brother, who's hoping to get his driver's license and to bring his girlfriend to the prom, has to deal with his girlfriend's snottiness and fails to get his license. His mom has a crisis at work, which could cost her job. His dad, who has a job interview, has to bring her younger brother with him, but because his pacifier is broken, he can't stop crying. Alex feels responsible. No, he should not feel responsible. This movie should feel responsible for how goddamn annoying it is. And yeah, that trailer, that was only a third of that is two quarters of that trailer. The rest of the trailer is literally nothing but screaming bad kids comedy. I mean, come on. I stopped it literally at the "come on, Wreck-It Ralph." Like, just, I would do it again, but Yeah, I'm not doing it again, but you get the idea. This movie is nothing but a bad Disney clone of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, which coincidentally enough, not but 10 years later, they would have the rights to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid franchise, and they would surprisingly do a better job of adapting those into movies by making them animated instead of, doing what Fox did before this. But yeah, this is a movie that's basically their rip-off of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I mean, the cliches, the terrible jokes, the fact that most of the humor is centered on gross-out jokes, screaming, because apparently screaming is a form of comedy now, which can be in the right sense. Not in movies like this. And the worst part about it is, people ate this movie the fuck up. I mean, this movie was a big hit when it came out in theaters, and I just didn't get it, man. I mean, this is about as bad as The Odd Life of Timothy Green and his whimsicalness and trying to be this fun Disney family comedy and just failing miserably at it, man. This movie is an atrocious mess, and you think they would try to do the same thing with a reboot that they would do. With a reboot that they would do not too long after this, about 11 years later. And that one was surprisingly not that good either. And yeah, it got even worse reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. So that should tell you that maybe this property should not have worked as a live action feature film. Maybe it should be like a TV special or animated kids special, which, oh yeah, they did that back in the 90s. I remember that because CBS Story Break did one of these as an animated short, and it works a whole lot better there. I mean, the characters here are just obnoxious. The characters are not funny. The setup isn't funny. There's just nothing about this movie that works at all. It's just a terrible, terrible movie. I know I'm going to be one of the few people that says it, but I'm sorry. It's a bad movie. It's a terrible, terrible film. So with all that said, let's go ahead and try to get on to a next movie, a good movie, and this one is close to it, but I have some conflicting thoughts about it. Let's talk about The Judge.
The Judge, only in cinemas.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it really should be something that should be really good with two heavyweights in Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall, but I can't really say it's a good movie overall. I mean, let's talk about it. Hank Palmer, played by Robert Downey Jr., is a successful defense attorney in Chicago who is getting a divorce. And then his brother calls him, brother played by Vincent D'Onofrio, so you got Iron Man and Kingpin in the same movie, for you Marvel fans out there. He calls with the news that their mother has died. Hank returns to his childhood home to attend the funeral, and despite the brittle bond between Hank and the judge, played by Robert Duvall, Hank must come to his father's aid and defend him in court. Here, Hank discovers the truth behind the case, which binds together the dysfunctional family and reveals the struggles and secrecy of their family. And this movie works because of the cast. Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall both give really good performances in here. Performances that I think should have gotten both of them Oscar nominations. I think Robert Duvall did get an Oscar nomination for this, but there's one scene in particular where as much as I can say bad about the movie, there's one great scene when they have this big scene in the house during a storm, during a tornado, I think it is, and they're just trying to have a conversation and like talking about what's going on with these two. And it's so well done, man. I mean, this is a great scene that shows the power of both Downey Jr. and Duvall as actors as a whole, and shows what they're capable of here. So yeah, they're given really good performances in this movie. And the rest of the cast is also very good too. Vera Farmiga, Billy Bob Thornton, Vincent D'Onofrio. And it's the story where the film gets really corny. It gets predictable as hell, and you can predict every dramatic cliche that's going to show up in its face in the movie, and you know where it's going to go, when it's going to end. And here's the thing. This is David Dobkin's first attempt at a dramatic film after being more well-known for his comedies, like Fred Claus, Wedding Crashers, and he unfortunately can't elevate the film to that next level overall. I mean, it's not that he's not trying. Like I said, there are times when he gets the scenes perfectly handled, but I think that's more on the actors as a whole. And he hasn't directed much since then. The last movie he directed was the Eurovision movie with Will Ferrell in it, and that came out in 2020. That's his only film he's directed after this, but, I mean, this is a film that should be mostly seen because of the good performances, but, like I said, that storm scene in particular, you can find it on its own online. But other than that, though, the rest of the film just kind of feels lazy and lackluster, and by the end of it, you're just kind of bored by it, by what's going on. And you don't come out feeling any remorse or anything about it overall. It's a disappointment overall, but not a complete failure. It's a failure that's just kind of like, you know, they tried, but man, this thing could have been so much better overall. But like I said, not a terrible mess of a film, but just kind of a movie where it's just like, yeah, certainly could have been a whole lot better than it actually was, but certainly not a forgettable movie at times. But you get the idea. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to a movie. Speaking of forgettable, I have no idea what this movie even is. Even as I watched the trailer for it, I'm just kind of like, I've never even heard of this movie, Addicted.
Away from me.
I don't throw it away!
Addicted. Rated R. Directed by Billy Woodruff.
Nope, can't remember this movie one bit. So that should not be a good sign for this film, but I've heard the name Zane before. If you watched Skinamax back in the day, he made a couple of shows for Cinemax back then, but yeah, I have nothing about this movie at all. Desire and the Dangers of Indiscretion. Successful businesswoman Zoe Renard, played by Sharon Leal, who I like as an actress, appears to have attained it all. The dream husband she loves, played by Boris Kodjoe, 2 wonderful children, and a flourishing career. As perfect as everything appears from the outside, Zoe is still drawn to temptation she can't escape or resist, and she pursues a secretive life. Zoe finds herself risking it all when she heads down a perilous path she may not survive. Apparently nobody else survived this movie because, yeah, this thing, I barely remember it, and it didn't even make much of an impact at the box office, man. I mean, granted it did cost only $5 million, but then again, there's not really a big name in this movie. I mean, the only other big name besides Sharon Leal and Boris Kodjoe might be Kat Graham from The Vampire Diaries and Tasha Smith, who's been like a character actress for a number of years. But other than that, though, there's really nobody else in this movie of noteworthiness. This is directed by Billy Woodruff, who also gave us Beauty Shop and Honey. But other than that, though, he's been mostly kind of relevant to direct-to-DVD movies, you know, films that were not really all that great, all that memorable overall, and just kind of like, I mean, what are we even doing here? Like here's the rest of his films he's done. He's done a Bring It On direct-to-video sequel, a Drumline direct-to-video sequel, which came out this very year, the 2 Honey direct-to-video sequels, Rags for Nickelodeon, yeah, with Keke Palmer in it, and The Perfect Match, which, again, is another movie I don't even remember, except the fact that it's got Paula Patton in it, so I guess there's that. But yeah, I don't remember a damn thing about that movie. Terrence J's in it. I mean, I'm just kind of killing time here because I really have not seen this movie. I have no reason to see this movie. Nobody's ever said, dude, you got to check out Addicted, man. And it's funny how a movie called Addicted is it seems like the most forgettable movie I've ever seen in my life. I've even tried to remember in my life. I say to see it because I haven't seen it, but you get the idea. This movie is probably not all that good. And the fact that nobody probably remembers it by this point, it's probably not a good sign for this film. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is, believe it or not, which actually probably is another film I don't remember. It's called Kill the Messenger.
Exposing.
Be careful.
We'd never threaten your children, Mr. Webb.
What'd you say?
What we're saying is we're going to kill your children. I mean, put it together, dumbass. But yeah, I honestly don't remember this movie either. I mean, I don't remember it being a bad movie. I've heard when it came out, it got decent reviews. So, unlike Addicted, it feels like a film that did get some love back in the day, but it's just kind of been pushed off to the side because it's a film that I don't think a lot of people really remember from it. But Jeremy Renner stars as a reporter who suppressed attempts to cover the CIA involvement in secret support of large-scale cocaine sales to fund the Nicaraguan Contras. This is a story, of course, taking place in 1996 and directed by Michael Cuesta, who is mostly known for his work on television. I mean, his stuff in terms of films, I mean, the only thing he's done that's really noteworthiness was American Assassin, and that's another one that you probably don't remember. But hey, it's written by Peter Landsman, who wrote Parkland and also Concussion. Yeah, this is probably not a good movie. And like I said, I barely remember this one too. It just kind of feels like, you know, this film kind of feels like it just, I mean, with a cast that includes Jeremy Renner, Rosemary DeWitt, Ray Liotta, Tim Blake Nelson, Barry Pepper, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Paz Vega, Oliver Platt, Michael Sheen, Andy Garcia, Robert Patrick, Michael K. Williams, you would think that there'd be at least some memorability to it, but I don't remember a damn thing about this movie, and the fact that I don't remember this film in particular probably is not a good sign about this film in general. Even though Jeremy Renner can be a solid actor in a leading role, if I can't remember this movie in general, then that's a huge problem right there. And yeah, from what I remember from it, I thought it was just okay, but it didn't leave much of a lasting impact overall. So yeah, those last 2 movies were not that memorable. So let's go ahead and move on to, if I can find the page here, let's move on to, we got some we actually do have memorable movies now. Let's go ahead and move on to one of the big Oscar contenders of the year, and that is J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller in Whiplash.
Then good job. Whiplash, rated R. Now playing select cities. Coming soon to a theater near you.
Needless to say, J.K. Simmons did a very, very good job to the point where he won multiple awards for his performance in this, including winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and rightfully so, because, yeah, he is incredible in this movie. And so is everybody else in here. This is a story about an ambitious music student and aspiring jazz drummer played by Miles Teller, who's pushed to the limits by his abusive instructor, played by J.K. Simmons. We always knew J.K. Simmons was a phenomenal actor, but this is the movie where he really gets a chance to shine and show everybody what he can really do. And this is based off of a short film by Damien Chazelle, the writer-director of this, who of course later would go on to do La La Land the following in about 2 years' time. And this is a terrific movie, man. It's a movie that works because you feel the pressure that Miles Teller's character is being put on in this movie. I mean, you feel it right from the get-go, and it just never lets go, man. I mean, this movie is one of the most tense films that you'll ever see, because you see Miles Teller being pushed so far to the limit to appease this guy. He's nearly killing himself, right to the point where when he's drumming, he's bleeding because he's like getting all these splinters on him while he's doing the drums. And it's just like, you feel that pressure and you feel that intensity in there. It feels like the drum equivalent of Black Swan at times, except he's not turning into a freaking swan at the end of that movie. But yeah, it's an outstanding movie, and it works because these performances are so good. I mean, I haven't talked about Paul Reiser, who I haven't seen in a big movie like this in a long time. He's really good playing the father in this. He's only in it for a couple minutes, but his performance is really good in here. It does stick out with the rest of them. But yeah, you're putting your focus mostly on the attention of Teller and Simmons, who really are the highlights of the movie. And again, for a film like this that has so much tension being built around it, it's just a movie that just works on so many levels. It's a terrific film. It shows off what Damien Chazelle's capabilities are as a director. I mean, what more do I have to say, man? It's one of the best movies that came out that year. Whiplash was an outstanding film, a tour de force. It's a great, great movie. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, a movie that should have gotten just as much attention as Whiplash did, but sadly did not. Bill Murray and Melissa McCarthy in St. Vincent.
Oscar time.
Are you drinking alcohol?
I honestly don't remember. St. Vincent, rated PG-13, October 10th.
Yeah, the bad news is that Bill Murray sadly did not get an Oscar nomination for this, and I do mean sadly because this is a performance that definitely should have gotten him a nomination. He should have won one at this point, man, for God's sakes. I mean, the guy's had so many opportunities to win one, but this was one where he should have gotten nominated for this at least. But this movie, sadly, was one of those films where it's one of the best movies of the year, and yet when it came out, it did good business, but then after it came out, pushed off to the side, like it didn't even matter. So it's a good thing there's a show like this to tell you how good of a movie this is, because this is one of the best movies I saw in 2014. In it, Bill Murray plays Vincent, a drunken gambling war veteran retiree who gets recruited by his newly single mom named Maggie, played by Melissa McCarthy, to watch over his small-grown 12-year-old son Oliver, played by Jaden Leibner. Vincent's ideas of after-school activities involve racetracks, strip clubs, but eventually the mismatched pair begin to help each other grow up. And like I said, we've always respected Bill Murray as one of those definitive actors out there. This is a guy that knows how to handle comedy, but also knows how to handle dramatic roles very well. And we've seen it in a number of movies. And this really is one of the best movies I saw that year. I mean, this is a terrific, terrific film. And it's not just because of Murray, who's always fascinating to watch on screen. It certainly has a lot of great comedic moments in here, but because the film is just so well done. The rest of the cast is outstanding. I love Naomi Watts playing Vincent's girlfriend in this. I mean, it's a really solid Naomi Watts performance. Probably one of my favorite ones since King Kong, honestly. Jaden Leibner's pretty good in his feature film debut, and Melissa McCarthy finally gets put into a role where she's not playing the obnoxious fat woman or the comic relief. No, she's actually playing a well-thought-out, interesting character, a single mother in the middle of a divorce, and the script is very good in not resorting her to just another stereotype role and actually makes her a character. You also have performances that are not really talked about all that much by Terrence Howard, Chris O'Dowd, and Scott Adsit, doing pretty good jobs in smaller capacity roles. The story is very good working to the advantage of the cast and not going into predictable territory. And for a movie like this, you think it's going to go into Oscar bait territory, but like The Judge, but It doesn't do that. It's a film that finds a good balance of comedy and drama, and even midway through the film, when Vincent has the stroke and he has to be in rehab, they find humor in something serious like a stroke. And yeah, strokes are not fun. I've never had one. I hope I never have one, but they're not fun at all. But this movie finds that perfect balance overall, and I think it helps that you have a good director in Theodore Melfi who makes his directorial debut on this, and it's a strong debut for him. I mean, this is a great showcase that shows what Bill Murray is capable of. Like I said, he's one of our great actors. Melissa McCarthy gets a chance to do a role outside her normal work that works very well. It's just a solid, very funny movie, and a nicely made dramedy, too, that sets itself up as one of the strongest films to come out this year. It's a movie that deserves a lot more attention than it deserves, and it shames me that this thing didn't get more recognition besides a Golden Globe nomination for Murray. I mean, that's a given at this point, but to put him in the same category with a Golden Globe rather than an Oscar, it's not really all that different. The Golden Globes back then were not as legitimate as people made them out to be back then. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. But if you haven't seen St. Vincent yet, see it. It is definitely one of the best movies of the year, one of the most underrated films of the year. Can't recommend it enough. St. Vincent, see it. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, we take a look at another assortment of movies here, including David Ayer's latest film starring Brad Pitt, the war film Fury. We also have the creator of El Tigre making his big screen feature debut with 20th Century Fox's The Book of Life. Very underrated animated movie. We have the latest Nicholas Sparks adaptation, The Best of Me, which, this movie isn't the best of anybody. We have the year's Best Picture winner, Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Kind of a shocker that it won Best Picture, too, over a film like Boyhood, but we'll touch on that on the next episode, and we'll also take a look at Dear White People, which I think is a title that we can use for a lot of different things in the world right now. Dear White People, here's something that you should not be doing right now, but anyway, 5 films to take a look at next time around. We'll touch on that tomorrow here on the show. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.